Welcome to Adventures in Education, a program that spotlights positive things happening in education in Southern Oregon and Northern California. I'm your host, John Letz. As we record this program in June, we've had a week where we've seen two very high-profile suicides. And suicides kick a lot of people in the gut, I guess you could say. They create a tremendous amount of sadness. And perhaps the saddest part is when you see suicides of young people, teen suicides. And in Southern Oregon and Northern California, unfortunately, we have our share, as they say, of those. We've had lots of tragedies in that ways over the years. So our spotlight today is on a program that through art helps a prevention of these suicides. So what I'd like to do now, on the bottom of your screen, you see the Suicide Lifeline. So if you're in a state of mind that could lead to anything even close to suicide, please call that number. There are people 24/7 who are there to help. And speaking of helping, we have a program here in Southern Oregon called Life Art Gallery that started 9 years ago in helping teens who were, let's say, at risk of suicide, and has expanded. And we'll talk about more of that. We'll drill into more of the details after I introduce my guest. My guest today may be familiar to RVTV viewers. This is Glamour Dave Nienow. Dave, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you, John. I'm happy to be here.
Now, you do two programs here at RVTV. Let's start with that.
That's right. Yeah, I produce and host Gems of the Road Valley, and with Gems of the Road Valley, I also want to make mention of my wonderful co-host Cassandra Wass, who helps me with that show. And then I also have Rogue Artisans and Crafters. And several months ago, when I was looking for show subjects for Gems of the Road Valley, I was downtown Medford and was looking into the Oregon Conservatory Theater program, which is a youth-oriented program. And it's located, that happens to be located in Medford Alley. It's like right behind the parking garage downtown Medford.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so I left the Oregon Conservatory Theater office, and lo and behold, I saw the location for the Life Art Studio and Cultural Center. And I thought, well, what's this? They were closed at the time, so I looked into it online. And it's a wonderful art-oriented program that deals and helps at-risk teens here in Jackson County. And as I got to visit the studio and talk to Phil Ortega and Adrian, the assistant manager, about their program, I thought, wow, this is a really wonderful community resource organization that not only certainly can be qualified as a gem of the Road Valley, but at the time I was just also starting my Rogue Artisans and Crafters art show. So I, in this situation, well, this is a really unique organization that could be featured on both my shows. But then as I continue to learn more about all their programs that they do, I've begun to realize they do so much that I see it's impossible for me to even really get into everything that they do with my two shows.
Wow.
So at that point I thought, how can I handle this and really give them good coverage and help the community understand what they do? And so I thought, well, you know what? I have a whole bunch of producer friends here at the studio.
You do, absolutely.
And so, you know, I approached my fellow producers, and we developed a collaboration through our various respective shows to kind of tell different elements of the story of the Life Art Studio and Cultural Center. And so the first show segment we got done last month with Steve Drebin and I doing like the introductory show, talking about the gallery and their activities.
And Phil was on there,
right.
And Adrian, and Monica, I believe.
Monica. Yeah. And so, you know, it was a good introduction to what the Life Art Gallery and Studio is all about. And then last weekend, I had my show segment on Rogue Artisans and Crafters, and I had three young women artists from the program come on, and we showcased their art, talked about their life stories and how the program helps them. And those young women were Caroline Wazik, Carla Lopez, and Brandy Gibbons-Dorr. And they're really wonderful women and wonderful art and artists that we got to showcase on the show. So now Nancy Bloom is doing a show segment on her show.
Now that has to do with the quilts.
I think Nancy's going to be doing a thing on the Vision Quilt project.
Vision quilt, and it hasn't been
It
produced yet.
It hasn't been produced yet, but yes, that's going to be coming up in the sequence. And then we're here talking about the whole collaboration process that got me here with you. But I've have just been really impressed with the whole program. There's over 200 plus teens here in Jackson County that are being helped by the program. And one of the extraordinary things that I have found out in dealing with Phil Ortega, the owner of the gallery, and with Adrian, was that each of the students that use the program, they all have a key to the studio facility. Because they only have limited hours for public, like on Friday and Saturdays.
Right.
And the rest of the time it's reserved for the students. And there's 200 plus students here in Jackson County that have a key that can come into that gallery anytime, 24/7, and make use of the facility to do their work, and just to even have it as a place of refuge when they just need to kind of get away from whatever situations they're dealing with in their life.
Yeah.
And I find that fact alone I find really extremely impressive.
I was part of the crew for that program,
Yeah.
and that also was very impressive to me. Now, Steve Dreben has a program called In Their Words.
That's right.
And it's a fantastic program in its own right, and his program is on. You can watch it at 6:30 p.m. on Mondays and 9 o'clock p.m. on Wednesdays. So he has a regular series here. And on this particular episode where he had this, I took some of the highlights from his program and kind of made a mashup. So you'll see mostly what was part of his program with a little bit of my voice. There will be some of the art that will show, because the art is so intensive. I mean,
Yes.
that was one thing that's impressed everybody. So part of that show, you'll see art and you won't even hear anything. Yeah. So that's a good note to my crew to not think that the audio all of a sudden fell out. It just kind of has that, it lets you feel that intensity. So let's go ahead and roll that one and that video clip, and we'll come back after that and talk some more about the program.
Yeah.
Well, first, thank you for the introduction and invitation and come and talk about our gallery. I'm Phil Ortega, and I started the program in 2009 because a couple of kids in our community had committed suicide. And suicide is a concern for everyone in our community. Approximately 56 people commit suicide each and every year in our community. And of those, 15 to 16 youth every single year. So Life Art is a direct kind of strategy to help prevent suicide. We started as a suicide prevention program, but now we really gotten a little deeper into helping young people deal with the complexities of life, of how to handle stress. And we have a little over 200 kids now in the program, and we have a little gallery in downtown Medford.
Visitors to that gallery are likely to be struck by the quality and intensity of the art there. Let's experience a sample of that art. That power doesn't need words, but words also have their place at Life Art Gallery.
There's also poetry, and we're inspired too by the poetry, which is poetry is a form of word art, let's call it. As long as we're talking about that, maybe we should step here to the left and hear this beautiful performed poem by Monique Ortega, I Am From.
Yes, thank you. I tend to do poetry to express myself within words, and I think people listen if it's done in respectful, conveyed matters. So, yeah, this is my poem called "I Am From." I am from the little boys and girls who stained my face with tears of confusion. Confusion of why it was such a bad thing to have a darker tone of skin than they had. I know of the late nights receiving texts from friends telling me that they cannot do this anymore. I am from the society known for war, the planet that idolizes consumption over creation, from the generation known for an increasing fear of the outside world. Though, I am also from the mindset of personal growth and being able to conquer and overcome the burden left from the previous generation. I am from the political world of political correctness and the marginalizing of minority groups. I am from the never-ending, everlasting love of family that values dinners spent together at the table. I am from the implementation of innovative programs that promote higher education and self-expression. I am from the word chivalry that seems to be absent in the dictionary of today's youth. I am from the prolonged days of the unknowing of what is to come. I am from loss, gain, and success.
Wonderful. Very, very
Thank you.
good.
Yeah, very nice.
Very, very good.
While the work of these young artists can be seen by the public, director Phil Ortega explains the importance of this space as a studio.
There's a power in the gallery that you get when you enter the gallery and then stay there and just take it in. You got a comment about that?
I think it really comes down to providing safe spaces for people to be real, be themselves. There's no such censorship at Life Art. And we call it the Life Art Gallery, but it's more of a studio. We show the art on third Friday of every single month. And Adrian manages all those shows, right? So Adrian and Caroline, our staff, they do such a phenomenal job. But the studio, let's talk about the studio for a few minutes. The studio is a place that young people who understand what Life Art stands for, understand our values, respect our values, they get their own key. So these young people get their own key.
Wow,
And they can come to the gallery 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Wow,
Now, we're
okay.
only open to the general public on
Right, yeah.
Fridays and Saturdays. And we have a once-a-month art show.
Yeah.
But the rest of the time is catered for their use.
It's their space.
It's
Yeah.
their space.
Yeah.
And that is like a serious expression of trust at your end to be able to give these teens that access in that way.
Sure.
And-
In 9 years, I've never once had a problem with the youth.
Yeah.
Now, you think about that, right? I think that
Yeah.
comes down to expressing clear expectations for young people, but also holding them accountable
Yes.
with high support. Like I don't ask Adrian to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. Now, to be quite honest, it hasn't always been easy, but I'm working with young people,
Yes,
right? And
right.
so I have a level of expectations, but I also have some patience. And I've been really proud to see them really develop into these fantastic community members that are now guiding discussions. Now, Adrian sits on the Medford Arts Commission.
Well,
He's
all
a
right.
voting
Brilliant.
member.
Yeah.
When he was in
okay.
high school. Well, you were in high school, right?
I think I was entering my junior year.
Yeah.
I ended up signing up for that. And
Yeah.
over time, they switched me from the youth position over to an actual commissioner position.
Kids want to do well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I strongly believe kids want to do well. Now, how can we support them? Give them a free space where they can be themselves and feel comfortable, and they will surprise you.
Some powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely some powerful programming there. That's Steve Dreben's show in their
Yeah.
words. And we want to do a quick shout out. We are now, Adventures in Education is now on channel 183 in Grants Pass. Nice to have us. Nice to have you guys aboard. Glad you're watching, and you're my neighbors because that's where I'm at now. I'm near Grants Pass anyway, out in the country there, out in the woods. Well, Dave, first of all, you've done a show with the gallery.
Yes.
What are your show times for your programs?
Well, with Rogue Artisans and Crafters, let's see, I think my show episodes there are broadcast on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. and on Thursdays at 11:30 p.m. Gems of the Road Valley can be seen on channels 180, 182, and 183, and there's so many time slots that it's being I can't keep track of them all in my head. So
That's the way it is when you have two programs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have my other program, Ramping Up Your English, and sometimes it's hard to come up with, well, these are the show times. But you see when we wrap up the program, the show times for Adventures in Education, Saturday afternoon at 3:30 is one of them. We have another clip that came in Steve Dreben's show, In Your Words, and it's one that they shared from back when they had a mural that was placed at the old post office building in Medford. So we're going to roll that clip, and then we'll be back with more about Life Art Gallery and my guest, Glamour Dave.
To thrive, I came to win, to survive, to prosper, to rise, to fly. To fly.
Actually, it's really nice to see the art people do. The lives are like in the pictures, and you can relate to it. You can put your own life into it. So. Life art has been a lot of help to me. I've been like keeping on track now. I've been working. I've been just thinking positive things.
With Jason Kanye's. Came to win, to survive, to prosper, to rise, to fly. To fly. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. I came to win. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. I came to win.
You're watching Adventures in Education, and boy, I tell you, Dave, someone says that art's not important.
No,
As it gets dropped from curriculums
Yeah.
and from schools. I know that this is different from the art class you might take in school, but boy, art is so powerful.
It is, and it can be an extremely powerful healing tool. That happens to be something that I explored in my shows last week when I had certified art therapist Delane Dew come on my first segment last Saturday to talk about art as a therapy tool. And the Life Art program is taking that same approach. I mean, you know, they're allowing students to express their emotions and the issues that they're confronted with in their life, and you know, and a lot of these at-risk teens here in Jackson County are dealing with a lot of negative things that they really shouldn't have to be dealing with, but they are. And the Life Art Studio allows these students to come in and really find a vehicle to express themselves and to deal with those issues. And it's been a really wonderful healing tool for a lot of teens and help them get in on a positive track in their life. And I think that's an extremely worthwhile thing that the community needs to get behind and strongly support, which is why this whole collaboration project between me and fellow producers here at RVTV to kind of tell all the different elements of their story, I thought was an important thing to pursue.
And you know, one thing that we're all struck with is the honesty of the art
Yeah.
that we see. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just out there.
Yeah.
Now, you had some examples of the art that didn't quite make it into your last
yeah,
program.
there were some pictures that we couldn't get into last week's show, kind of showing some of the activities from the gallery. So as the control room could bring up those pictures, it's just a short selection, kind of showing some of the students involved and the activities that take place at the studio. So let's just kind of go through those. And
so it's a pretty big space, it looks like, that they have.
yeah, it's it's a pretty nice space, and when you walk in and see the art on display, you can't help but be impressed by the intensity of the images and the quality of art that's created through the program.
And this gallery is open to the public 2 days a week.
Right, Fridays
and Saturdays. Now,
yeah.
where is that located?
That's downtown Medford in the Middleford Alley, and I believe there's a couple more pictures from my show last week. Yeah, there's my guest from last week's show.
Yes, that was a great show.
Yeah, so those fine young women were Caroline Wasick, Carla Lopez, and Brandy Gibbons Store, and they brought, and we talked about some of their wonderful art that they've created and their work through the program.
Well, David, I just really express my appreciation right now for even opening this up for the collaboration. Now, we're not, when you talk about the producers here at RVTV, we're not exactly cutthroat competition. When I look out at my crew, I see people who are also producers, people who are going to be producers in the future, and we do support each other.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate you opening this up to a collaboration. And when I heard about that, I thought, what could be better for Adventures in Education?
Yes.
Because of the child connection there,
Mm-hmm.
and then of course the whole education piece with art.
Yeah.
And as a retired teacher, I know that I saw art devalued year after year after year.
Yeah, and it still kind of continues that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing was, let's get them reading,
Yeah.
and the faster the better, which I had a bit of a problem with, but when you work in that system, you try to make the best of it for the kids, because that's what gets the teachers out of bed every morning is,
That's
what
right.
what am I going to do for the kids today?
Yeah.
And to tell you the truth, I haven't always had a huge appreciation for art in terms of its value.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, watching your show, Rogue Artisans and Crafters, has really rekindled that appreciation for the huge role, important role that art has in our lives.
Yeah, well, it is art serves as a cultural, kind of a cultural record of a community and of a society and its culture overall. I mean, our culture is reflected through the art that the artists create in all media, and so our society gets to kind of reflect itself through what artists do, and I think that's an important role in our society. And a future thing down the road that I'll be exploring on Rogue Artisans and Crafters is going to be the subject of industrial art design, because every product in existence has to be designed by someone. And so there are artists and designers out there that affect each of our lives every single day by just what they create and design in the products that we use.
And Dave, you are one of the performing artists down here, and we just want to do a little bit of bragging here.
That's right.
Now, these are 2 awards I won in 2017.
Yeah.
for the other show that I do that's called Ramping Up Your English.
Yeah.
And one of these is for the best program of the year for 2017, and the other one is for the best education program. Now, I received an award for the best education program this year, 2018, and this is for the program you're watching right now.
That's right.
This is for Adventures in Education.
Yeah.
Now, I see you are not awardless, so let's hear
So,
what you got.
Well, 2018, our SOTA awards that were done in February, I got the award for Best Arts and Culture Show for Rogue Artisans and Crafters, and then also for Best New Producer. So
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Is, and you know, the thing is, these are voted by the other producers,
Yeah.
and it's especially special for that.
Yeah.
Now, one thing we have to get used to is the rap sign, which I just got, so we are out of time. Now, we have a fantastic crew, so when you see the graphic at the end that names the crew, these are the people that make a program like this possible.
That's right.
We can't do it without them. And I want to thank my director, Denise Ross, and I want to thank you, our viewers, because you are valuing education and wanting to learn some true things that are happening in education. And I just love it when people learn what's really going on. My thanks to David Nienow, my guest today, and I will see you, or you will see me next time, on Adventures in Education. I'm John Letz.